Welcome to Smith Classic Cars. This is my 1972 Chevatsun 580Z Spyder. Chevatsun, you ask? What's that? Well, it's not really a thing. This started life as a 240Z and has been modified quite a bit. I bought this back in 2000 for $1,000 with some of the modifications done, but it needed a lot of work and it needed to be done right. Well, let me get it outside and show you what it's all about. All right. Let's take a closer look at this bad boy. Rebuilding the drivetrain was the first step, and Uncle Bob approved. Luckily, my brother had some time to help. He's been the man behind the scenes at Gene Winfield Rod and Custom since the 80s, and I'd say he's responsible for much of Gene's success since then. He helped me with the first iteration of the engine rebuild, the bodywork, stereo, and making the interior presentable. It's hard to beat teaming up with my brother on a project, and I miss being that close to him. He did a great job cleaning up the hack job around the rear portion of the tub. I thought it important to keep the chrome bumpers, so my brother filled, smoothed, and tucked them, cutting down the rear and filling in the rear quarter panel where the rear bumper jutted forward like an anchor to the flow of the body lines. He also welded in a custom rear spoiler which follows the styling cue of the aftermarket front valance. When it came to paint, I had nothing, and he picked out this green which I really like. The 240Z was released in America in 1969, and it originally sold for about $3,500. This one's a 72, and they sold over 50,000 in 72 alone, so it was a significant sales success. They came with four-wheel independent suspension, sway bar, rack and pinion steering, all the standard. So you got a lot for the money. And they looked good. Of course, it's much better topless. Let me show you the interior. All stock Z gauges, 160 mile per hour speedo, which is probably more realistic now than it was with the original 2.4 liter engine. Tack, and the vitals to the right: temperature, oil pressure, amp and fuel gauge, and clock. The glove box, heater controls and stereo. The original Datsun dash is well appointed in my opinion and pretty stylish. The interior could use some additional refinement. The center console is a bit kludged together and is something I'll likely change for Chevatsun 2.0. We've got some speakers back here, large enough to let others know what kind of music you like. She looks good from every angle, but I do like the hindquarters. Alright, that's enough. I wanted to keep the wheel well stock, so I found the right offset to get the biggest rear tires under it I could. Got Panasports on it, of course. The car looks good as a hatchback, but it never did it for me like this does. Let me show you under the hood. As you'll notice, the small block Chevy looks as though it belongs. Originally it had a 2.4 liter 6 with about 150 horsepower. The 0 to 60 time was about 8 seconds and had a top speed of 120. I don't have the data for this current configuration, but I'd argue it's much better. It's bored 40 over with forged internals, high compression pistons, and a long duration cam. The cam keeps the power up top, keeping it from getting too squirrely off the line, and makes for a great idle and sound when I push on the loud pedal. Vacuum pressure is very low at idle though, so I had to add a vacuum pump for the power brake booster. The radiator is a dual pass all aluminum unit with 2 rows of 1.25" tubes. Without the V8, the Z car was a formidable race car, both in road racing and rallying. Paul Newman got his start in Datsuns and raced the 280Z in the 70s. I often wonder, had Carroll Shelby connected with Datsun, or could this have been the Cobra? In the back we have a small trunk with room for a full-size spare, a few bags, and an amp. All right, let's go for a drive. Started life as a Datsun, still mostly Datsun. Of course, we got the drivetrain from a Chevrolet, 4-speed automatic transmission, 350 Chevy, all cast iron, but pretty nasty cam in it. It sounds really good. It goes like stink. What's especially fun about this car is that if you're driving in a sane manner, it's nice and smooth and quiet, really behaved. But if you want to have a good time, step on the gas a little bit, it gets pretty out of control, which is a lot of fun. She drives nice and smooth. We've got progressive springs, so it handles real nice. V8 engine and the 4-speed transmission added a little weight up front, but not a whole lot. Still seems pretty balanced. Goes around corners well. And it looks good. Bought this car for $1,000 from a Caltech student. He had done a lot of the modifications himself, but a lot of it needed to be reworked. It's got the 350 Chevy engine in it, bored over, so it's 355. Translates to a 5.8 liter, so we've got a 580Z now. I really enjoy driving this car because it goes down the road really nice and smooth. Doesn't make a lot of noise. Draws some attention to itself though. Brakes are stock Datsun brakes. Drum in the back, disc in the front. It stops okay. It might be good to upgrade that someday, but it's good enough for now. But it drives really nice. It's nice and smooth, quiet. Handles really nice. And then when you step on the gas, it goes like stink. I still consider this a prototype, and so at some point I might go back through it, redo things a little bit, improve upon them. But for now I just want to enjoy it. It's a long road getting it to this point. And it's at a point now where it's fun to drive and I can enjoy it. So she cruises along real nice. That 4-speed transmission, the 336 gears in the back, really makes it nice. It's nice geared real tall. Doesn't work very hard on the freeway. Alright, so we'll get up on the freeway here and take it on home. I'll show you what I mean. That was okay. We're rolling right along now. 1800 RPM, 75. I mean, 65, I mean. I wouldn't break the speed limit, but you know, you might be doing 80 in 2000 Because it burned rubber. That's it for this episode of Smith Classic Cars. See you next time. Jackie on the left, McKenna on the right.